Welcome back, folks, to WrestleRant, where I, Graham G.S. and Matthews, review all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network. And I did lie last week. I did tell you guys that today we were talking about In Your House 4, as we've been doing for the past couple weeks here on the show. But we will be taking a break from the In Your House reviews to talk about Royal Rumble 2016 here today in preparation for the Royal Rumble 2017 this upcoming weekend, which a lot of people are looking forward to, myself included. But Royal Rumble 2016, in my opinion, and excuse my voice, I literally just woke up, so I haven't yet to, really wake up and shit. I'm not sick or whatever. I just, literally woke up a minute ago, and I wanted to review this before I head to class soon. But, Royal Rumble 2016, in my opinion, was the best Rumble pay-per-view that WWE has produced on the whole, and I would say since 2011 I loved, 2012 sucked, maybe since 2008. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say at the time and in the months since, in the years since this pay-per-view, that this was the best Rumble pay-per-view, the best Rumble match since 2008. And it's hard to argue with that. Because I thought this was a really good Rumble. I talked to John the other day when we hung out about a week or so ago. He had said he had watched back this Rumble and said it was pretty boring. And I can argue. I mean, I will agree with that. I mean, it wasn't as great as I remember watching it back. I mean, not every moment was exciting. It's not the greatest Rumble match of all time. But when you compare it side by side to the 2014 Rumble match or the 2015 Rumble match, which in my opinion fucking sucked. I mean, I think a lot of people would agree with that. Unanimously agreed. I think a lot of people will say those Rumbles were terrible. Those Rumbles were just absolutely deplorable. That this Rumble was a lot better, and I thought it was a really good show, start to finish. So anyway, kicking off the show for the Intercontinental Championship, Dean Ambrose defending his IC title against Kevin Owens in a last man standing match. I thought this was one of the better feuds from late 2015 to early 2016. Kind of went under the radar. All their matches were really, really good. This match was no exception. I thought they worked really well together here. Really thrived in the opening slot. The funny thing about this match and the entire pay-per-view, I'll say right now, is that I did not get the chance to watch the show live. I did. I watched it on my phone because what happened was, usually, with the exception of this year, for the past 3 years, and coming back to college for the second semester of my college career, whatever, for my freshman, sophomore, and junior years, the Rumble fell on that Sunday. For the first 2 years, I got back in time. Last year, I did not. I left later. It was not my fault. We just kind of ran into problems back at home that I couldn't leave sooner. But so what I had done was I had watched literally the first half of the show on my phone on the way back to my school last year. So I had yet to watch the show in a sitting setting as I did yesterday. So to be able to watch this match and not really worry about getting to school back on time to watch with RJ, which was great. To be able to sit down and watch it was awesome. So I thought this match was really, really good. Again, it kicked off the show. I thought it was awesome in that opening slot. A lot of awesome spots with the chairs, tables, kendo sticks. And in the end, Dean Ambrose, still the Intercontinental Champion, got a solid 20 minutes. And in my opinion, one of the more underrated matches from 2016. And a year filled with amazing matches. I thought this match was definitely one of the better bouts of the year and kicked off the show on a high note. So great match from those two. After that, for the WWE Tag Team titles, the New Day successfully defending their belts against the Usos in a pretty good match. I mean, by this point, we had already seen these two teams go at it several times on Raw and whatnot, but it was still a good match. Down the stretch, it was pretty suspenseful. I mean, there was the chance the Usos could come out on top to kind of match Roman Reigns as champion and Dean Ambrose having the whole family dynamic. The Usos very well could have won the belts here after losing at TLC as well. But I thought it was a good match. So kind of, that uncertainty surrounding the outcome definitely helped it. With the New Day coming out on top in the end, still the WWE Tag Team Champion, so good match. Kalisto and Del Rio for the United States Championship. I would say between the many matches these two had, I would say this might have been the weakest. It was still a good match. They got about 11 minutes. The match was all right. The crowd kind of sat on their hands for the most part. I think switching the title back and forth as many times as they did from Raw to SmackDown and then back at the Rumble kind of hurt this title change in the end. I think had they had Kalisto win it for the first time here, it might have been more shocking or exciting, whatever. But, I thought it was a good match with the right outcome, Kalisto winning back the U.S. title. Unfortunately, they would drop the ball on his title reign as U.S. champion. He really did nothing as champion whatsoever, Kalisto did. It was really just kind of a waste of time. But this was a good match, though. For what it was a good match with the right outcome. For the WWE Divas Championship, before we got the women's title, it was Charlotte defending against Becky Lynch in what I thought was one of the better women's matches from the early on in 2016. We had a lot of great women's matches last year, so this one kind of gets forgotten about. But these two had an awesome feud going with Becky Lynch being betrayed by Charlotte. These two had been friends dating back to when they initially arrived on the main roster together as 2/3 of Team PCB with Paige out of the picture by this point. But yeah, I thought the match was great. They got about 11 minutes. It felt longer, but in a good way. I say that. I'm not saying it dragged on. It felt like a true marquee match, and I was happy it went on as late on in the show as it did. In the end, Ric Flair, they cut this part out of the match on the WWE Network broadcast. But had you watched it live, you would know. Early on in the match, Becky Lynch gets distracted by Ric Flair when he kisses her at ringside, like on the lips. And they cut that part out at ringside. It's a terrible edit because the commentators are talking about it anyway, how disgusting it is. And in the edit, all you see is Ric Flair like turn her around. So how is that disgusting? You know what I mean? They might as well have just cut out the commentary while they were at it. But the match itself, other than that one, like why even do this spot? You know, if you know it's not right. Maybe Ric Flair pulled an audible. I doubt it. But anyway, the match was great. In the end, Charlotte retains the belt. Afterwards, Sasha Banks returns for the first time, I think, since the late 2015 on Raw. She comes back to confront Charlotte. They go head-to-head. Sasha attacks Becky Lynch, kicks her out of the ring. They seemingly align before Sasha Banks lays out Charlotte, laying the groundwork for the triple threat women's match for the new Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania 32. So, again, great match and great storyline progression here as well with the return of Sasha Banks. And in the Rumble match itself, again, I really, really enjoyed the best Rumble match of all time. Absolutely not. But all things considered, I thought this was a really strong Rumble. Roman Reigns, and this was, I think the fact that the belt was on the line in this Rumble obviously helped for the first time since 1992. But the first time the belt had been on the Rumble, that had been on the line in the Rumble, that it wasn't vacated. You knew that Roman Reigns for the first time ever had 29 different challengers. Excuse me. But yeah, for the first time ever, Roman Reigns, a champion, had 29 different challengers. Kicking off from number 1, it really made no other sense. It made no sense otherwise for Roman Reigns to come in at any other number just because the Authority hated him so much and they wanted the belt off of him so much that if he had come in at anything other than number 2, and anything other than number 1 or 2, it would have been abysmal, would have been asinine. But anyway, Roman Reigns comes in, quickly takes out Rusev. AJ Styles making his highly anticipated and rumored debut in the Rumble match. To an amazing ovation. I will never get tired of listening to that pop for AJ in Orlando. And a year later, he's WWE champion. But he was in this match for a great while. I think longer than most people, with the exception of Roman Reigns, who was gone for a majority of the match. I don't know if it really counts. Dean Ambrose, I think Chris Jericho lasted about 50 minutes. And Kevin Owens as well. Or not Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens wasn't in even for that long. He was the one who took out AJ Styles. But AJ, even though in defeat, even despite in defeat, had a great showing in this match. Chris Jericho, who I mentioned, was in the match for 50 minutes and was tossed out eventually by Dean Ambrose. And they did mention that two had issues at Night of Champions a couple months prior. So I do firmly believe what Jericho has said in past interviews, that the original plan for WrestleMania was to do Jericho and Dean Ambrose, probably for the Intercontinental Championship. And they did mention their tension here, so they were probably going that direction before they changed plans with AJ Styles and Jericho, which was for the better, I would say, as opposed to getting Brock Lesnar and fucking Bray Wyatt, which would have sucked. But anyway, though, so AJ had a great showing here. Axel finally got his Rumble appearance before getting tossed out by AJ a minute in. Jericho had a great showing. Kane came back as always. The New Day, Kofi Kingston had his little spot on the shoulders of Big E at ringside, which was pretty cool, so I enjoyed that. The Wyatt family dominating a lot of the guys in the match. Braun Strowman taking out 5 different people. I think more eliminations than anyone other than Roman Reigns. So he had a great showing here. Brock Lesnar coming in, cleaning house, and then getting tossed by the Wyatt family, who had already been eliminated, was pretty disappointing. To set up a match that never happened between Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt, which was supposed to happen in Roadblock, but then it became a handicap match, and we never got the one-on-one match. Inevitably, between Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt, they changed plans again, and we never got it at SummerSlam or whatever. And I'm not complaining. I wasn't really looking forward to that match and Bray Wyatt losing fucking again. But that was kind of disappointing. But yeah, I thought overall there were a lot of good small stories told here. Even Mark Henry, who in the twilight of his career wanted to become WWE champion one last time. Sami Zayn returning in the Rumble to the WWE main roster. Anyway, he had already been back in NXT by that point. Coming in as a surprise entrant, taking out Kevin Owens was great. Dean Ambrose being the last two in there with him and Triple H, which I heard was an audible, because the crowd towards the end, when Triple H came in, when he was a surprise entrant at number 30, a lot of people figured he would win after being attacked by Roman Reigns at TLC a couple months earlier, about a month earlier. So that really wasn't a surprise. But, I mean, people did react. People popped when he came out, but I think it would have been cooler. I don't know. But I think the fact that Ambrose was the last one in there with Triple H made it not quite as obvious. I mean, people knew that Ambrose wasn't winning 2 belts on the same show. But it was still a cool moment. The crowd went nuts when Ambrose was the last one in there with Triple H as opposed to Roman Reigns. If it was Roman and Triple H, I think the fact they did it the way they did kind of saved Roman and Triple H for Mania, which no one wanted to see anyway for the most part. But Ambrose being in there, being the obvious fan favorite, definitely worked to their advantage, worked to their favor. So I thought that was great. But yeah, overall, just a lot of good stories told in this Rumble from what I'm looking at right now. I mean, there are some other small stories, but I mean, there were a couple throwaway entrants, like who fucking cares about Titus O'Neil or Stardust or Goldust being in the match, you know, but Ryback too, who I like, but a lot of these guys should not have been in the Rumble. I think this year might be a little bit more clear-cut in terms of star power and whatnot. But yeah, Triple H in the end becoming the new WWE champion by lastly eliminating Dean Ambrose. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a great Rumble match and the best one in about at least 8 years. At least. I love the 2010 one, so maybe the best one since that one. And definitely, this match is now among my favorites, having watched it live. And I don't know if it beats 2010. Probably 2011, but it definitely beats 2010. So great Rumble, 2 thumbs up. The overall show I thought was awesome. Definitely one of the more underrated pay-per-views of the year. From a amazing opener for the IC title to a good tag title match, good US title match, a great women's match, and a very, very good Royal Rumble match, and the best one in years. So, and no filler segments, no bullshit, no authority segments in the ring. We had a couple authority promos backstage, not in the ring though. But I thought this was a great show. Really, really good show. Check it out on the WWE Network prior to this week's upcoming Royal Rumble pay-per-view on Sunday on the WWE Network. So next week, though, we will be back on track covering the In Your House pay-per-views, In Your House 4. But in the meantime and in between time, guys, as always, be sure to check me out on the Twitter machine. Follow me there at WrestleRant. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Graham.gsm.Matthews. And right here on YouTube by liking, leaving a comment, sharing the video, and subscribing to the channel. All that support is amazingly appreciated. Again, I apologize for my voice being completely shot. I am not sick. I did not go to a show. I literally just woke up. I have yet to take a shower. That's probably what it is. I have not eaten or drinking anything all morning, so my voice is just literally my morning voice. I apologize, and I wanted to bang this out before I head to class in about an hour, half hour. So anyway, guys, enjoy the Rumble on Sunday. It's going to be a great blockbuster weekend, in addition to TakeOver San Antonio on Saturday. Cannot wait for it. Watch back this Rumble, all your favorite other Rumbles in the past 30 years of the Rumble. And speaking of which, too, if you're wondering why am I just covering the 2016 Royal Rumble, I've already covered every other Rumble that's ever happened before in WWE history. So from 1988 to 2015, of course, in addition to 2016 here today, I've already covered those Rumbles from the past couple of years. So check them out on the WWE Network. Watch those Rumbles. Check out my reviews from right here on WrestleRant. Go to the playlist and watch and listen to all those past Rumble reviews from the past 2 years on the show. So you might have to go back a bit far because they're from 2015 in addition to 2016. So you might have to go back a bit further to check out all my past Rumble reviews. But until then, guys, again, like I said, enjoy Rumble weekend. A lot more Rumble content, Rumble-oriented content coming to the channel in the week to come over the course of the next week. But enjoy, guys. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch you guys down the road to WrestleMania.